Hey there, fellow adventurers. Welcome to Tryst with a Werewolf. Are you ready to step into a world where the line between human and beast blurs? Here, we'll uncover the hidden tales of werewolves, their forbidden love, and their wild adventures. So, come along and let's embark on this thrilling tryst together. Chapter 33, Aquamarine Ring. 33 bullets, 3 more days, and I was still alive. Though I was stuck in bed, my fever was getting unbearable. I'd been developing a fever, and every day it was getting worse. I stared at my mud-encrusted leg, sitting up in the wolf bed, and tossed the wet washcloth at my forehead to the side. I never felt closer to dying. My body was giving cold sweats, but I was burning up. My vision was spotting and breathing getting harder. And then we plead the paste every day, and each day the pain from the movement would thrust me into unbearable sharp jabs of agony. I'd scream bloody murder until I passed out. That tells you how bad it was. If the end would still work the medicine and would it hurt me that bad, I knew this swelling was so much worse than my shoulder ever was. At least I could move when I needed to, like a change of scenery or the bathroom, but I had to let the end carry me, or I'd have to keep my leg insanely still. While out and balancing once, I made makeshift branch crunches and kept them by my bedside, though the end still hadn't let me use them. With how much worse it was, I dare say that my wound was infected and growing. The poison was eating away to my knee now. I finally voiced a concern that had been gnawing at me for 2 days. Then N. He moved from guarding the front of the cave and came and kneeled beside me, hands to my belly. I swallowed, trying to gather my courage. You know how you wanted to amputate my arm. Should we amputate my leg? Right now we can cut just below my knee. If the venom eats anymore, I won't be able to keep it. Then rubbed down my arms and took my hand in his. "I'll safe. Baby safe." I looked away. I knew he wouldn't understand, but I had to speak it. "No, I'm not safe. The baby is not safe." I showed the line at my knee. Kill Su Kuma H hurt. I mimed him holding a dagger and crashing it down against my leg. He stood up in a blurred movement. Now his holler rumbled through the cave. "L medicine. Good." I gave a sad nod and mumbled, "I sure hope your medicine is good. On Earth you don't just let something burn your whole leg off and not do anything about it." Before I could say anything else, he turned and strode out of the cave. "Then," I asked the emptiness. I started reaching for the crutches thinking I really offended him, but he appeared a moment later with an armful of orange leaves. I sat up against the edge of the bed and sang Ed when I moved my leg to the floor. "What do you have?" I asked through clenched teeth. He placed the bundle in my lap. "Leaves." "Oh, thanks. Pretty." I smiled up at him, though it was mostly fake. He gave his own fake smile and sat next to me, moving the top leaves from the pile until a corner of soft goldenrod leather was peeking out. "Oh, is this wrapping paper?" I finally giggled. I'd given him a gift in those wide leaves before. Maybe he copied it from me. I picked the leaves off until I held up the leather and it was a pair of pants. No, shorts. Made wide and with a stretchy waistband. Perfect maternity wear as well as easy to get up over my leg without much movement. I turned to them and a real smile across my face. "You made me more clothes." "Thank you. These are perfect. Help." He took the shorts and held them open wide over my legs and made sure not to touch my burn. Then helped me to a one-footed stand and I pulled them up over my belly. It was nice not just being in dunnies anymore. My jeans had gone to heaven with the skunk spray along with my boots, and my second pair of pants would be too small now. Plus, having anything over my wound was just not doable. I leaned over and tried to grab my crutches again, but then N grabbed me into his arms instead. I kissed his cheek. "Thank you. You always think of everything." I'm probably not very easy to take care of being so accident-prone. Even my shoulder still sucked, but it was just like an annoying fly now. Nothing compared to my leg. He smirked and walked me out to near the repeat. There wasn't a fire going, but out in the fresh air was where I needed to be. I swept in a deep breath of all the herbs that surrounded the cave, and then N wandered off to a fruit tree to bring me what I called a papaya. 4-inch pear-shaped fruit with dozens of black sunflower seeds inside. I'd never tried papaya at home, so I didn't know what to compare it tastes like. But this papaya was stringy with a sweet squashy type flavor. I jumped with the surprising movement coming from my belly. Then N was kneeling in front of me in seconds, ready to take my pains away. I started, and then placed a hand on my stomach. I think she moved. Was that a kick? Was it indigestion? Had I had raw meat lately? No. I was trying to be really good and only eat that N's heavily charred food. She bounced again. It was. That N's concerned voice bore over me. Hurt. Help. I smiled encouragingly. No hurt. Baby. I pulled the waistband of the shorts down and exposed my bump. I didn't even have to reach for his hand. It was already placed delicately over. He grinned watching the area, his smile for the baby never showing any of the nerves that he showed over me. Chick. Bark Spidey. My fated mate. Lights flashed around me and my room spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I hollered and then N's hands flew off, now finally concerned. KWN's engine eye. He squinted over my stomach, smirking. I grabbed his hands and put them back. Baby. Baby, look. Baby. He questioned, face turning back to a grin. He laid down so his ear was against me too. Baby. I started combing my fingers through his hair and just let him be. Yep, your baby. But I started counting the days. Bark Spidey. My fated mate. Lights flashed around me and the wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. This really was wrong. I shouldn't feel the baby yet. It's been what? Just over 2 weeks since then and I first did the deed. I thought I was just getting fat from no 20-mile hikes every day. But if I can feel kicks then this baby is way bigger than it's supposed to be. How long do alien babies gestate for? If I was already feeling flutters, there was no way this baby was lasting 9 months. Then how long? I was definitely showing no. Anyone on the street would say, when's the baby due, fatty? And I'd yell like, 9 more months. Crap. I really needed to get to Molly. I looked down to my leg. That is if I didn't mean to amputate. Could I have a baby and then be whisked away back to Earth where they work their magic? Could I hold out that long? Earth magic probably would be to just amputate. But a sound interrupted my dark thoughts. A low-tone note called from across the mountain. A howl. I jumped in a startle and had to gnash my teeth from the fresh strain on my leg. Before I could ask about hiding, then N stood and gave his note exclamation into the air. Then N, I cried in shock. Werewolves. They'll eat me. He chuckled. Kane. I turned to where he was studying. It's Kane. In another minute a man strode from between the trees and grinned wide when he saw us. Then N. Kane. He called back. Kane turned to me. Hello. The beam across his face fall into doom when his eyes hit my mud-covered leg. He panicked to then N. KWN's ik me M lens and IWAK he. You but hi buka Sukuma H. Sukuma H. He cried out and ran to me, watching over the wound and pulled out my leg. I froze in pain, face contorting in hurt, but never let my voice fly. Then N yelled Cha. Yuzi Wayubi Long How. Then Tayuti Hambile. Kane's eyes widened and he gently placed my foot down, and then noticing my bump, he backed up completely. His words were low and apprehensive. MFOWTHU. When's Emi? Baby. Then N nodded Kane's jaw. You Yawanya. Ungowinoski Maza. They're talking about the stupid Maza again. Boys. Kane growled out. Uziobi la yuma yumasa at hola. The Nen spoke, glancing back to me, serious and dejected, a hand rubbing over his forehead. Ngiyazei. The Nen looked away from us, ashamed and hunched. Sizioe at hola. Tea faciting ayuka yumayaza yumaza manj. Yumasa yuthami yumali. Kane spoke gravely, then turned back to Kane. Eyes anxious. Linda. KWN's engine eye. Kane exhaled. Nile the Indian day the Kamada okay. Yukayuzi a u on d. You elcumly easy and kosai a yumaza. Kane then turned to me and held something out in his hand. What's this? I said, going to pick it up. But once I realized what it was, adrenaline crashed through me in a fit of anger. It was a golden banded ring, inset with an aquamarine stone. Aquamarine. Gia's ring. The ring I placed on her grave. Rage burst through me and I stood, barely even cringing away the pain in my leg. You stole Gia's ring. You a hole. I swung it at him, punching his chest with everything I had, my knuckles cracking under his heavy frame. How dare you? You grave robber. I hit him with my other fist. He barely flinched. Then Anne quickly lifted me away, holding me tight against him. Kane looked shocked, ring still outstretched. Eat kuyi. Then Anne hollered while I struggled in his grasp. My arms and legs flailed about as I shouted obscenities at Anne's brother. I can't believe I liked you. You thief. You grave robber. You're lower than low. I didn't know if it was pregnancy hormones, but I was livid. Kane stepped forward cautiously and caught my hand, stilling it. I tried to yank it back, but his hold was solid. Let go of me, you. You stupid jerk. You cow liquor. Do put it back right now. He put the ring on my finger and stepped back. I pushed and punched against the Nen's arms. Let me go. I'm going to kill him. Calm down. The Nen spoke, tightening his grip. Calm down. Calm down. What the frick do you mean, calm down? He's a grave robber. He's a thief. He's not a grave robber. Then N spoke to my frantic ear. Yes, he is. Let me go. I kicked out, zinging down my own leg and cried out in pain, but I would not be stopped. That was Gia's ring. He stole from Gia's grave. She's dead, you piece of beetledum, and you stole from her. You desecrated her grave. I'll feed you to those stupid yellow tarantulas. At hole. Then N chuckled. Is that what you say when you have your tantrums? Tantrums? Who asked you? Let me go. Eleanor. Calm down. You can understand me. Right. I stiffened in his arms. Fever going cool. Max Spidey. My faded Nate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I could. That's right. Okay, so listen to me. That's not Gia's ring. It's Mata Okae's. Molly has one. Lisette has one. They're translators. That's why I've been so adamant on finding you rings. I wanted to find your translator. Do you have one? I couldn't speak. I just looked down to my hand, gazing at the aquamarine stone next to the pink ring that N had given me. My breathing became erratic, the only noise filling the campsite. Then N asked. I stammered. He set me back down on the log and kneeled beside me, grinning. I was still too in shock to do anything. Thinko, where is your ring? I swallowed hard, trying to understand the world. A translator. I could understand the N's words. It felt like a whole new planet. A whole new the N. The N couldn't speak English. Who was this person talking to me? Was he a different person now that I could understand him? No. That was nonsense. No. I never had one. Only Gia did. The N took my hand. Are you okay? I stared at his fingers like I'd never felt someone touch me before. I shook my head. No. He chuckled and kissed my hand. Tingles sped down my spine. Yes, you are. My brave woman. Only my eyes lifted to him. My face still the picture-perfect of anxiety. Don't say that. Say what? That you are mine. Marek Spidey. My fated mate. White slashed away me and a wound span with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I know. I apologize. That I'm brave. But you are. I looked over the ring in concern, still feeling the world crushing in. This is a translator. Yes, all the women have come here with one. How did I come here? He was quiet a moment and shrugged. No one knows. We suspect Moon Goddess. Moon Goddess. That sounded as fairy tale as a werewolf. She's our deity. I deadpanned a glare at him. I know what a goddess is. I glanced back down to the ring. Gia said I was speaking Korean. We thought it was a universal language. He rubbed peacefully down my arm. No universal language. Just she must have been wearing the translator. I sighed. Yeah, she always wore it. Never took it off. A thought lit. Marek Spidey. My fated mate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I found her ring on my truck's floor after she passed. I thought it was weird she took it off. Maybe. I trailed off. Kane spoke for me. Maybe that one was yours. What did you do with it? I looked up to him and then around the campsite. I put it on her grave, as a headstone. I thought it was hers. Then N came sure to look. Then N spoke to him bravely. That's clear back at KW you like. Kane exhaled and glanced to me. You can use motto OKs for now. We don't have time to go get yours. We have a problem and we need your help. Alpha King Maza has kidnapped Molly. You think she's you? Chapter 34, Fairy Tales 33 bullets me. I exclaimed. What do you mean? He thinks she's me. Kane pointed to my ponytail. Your hair. Molly has blonde hair like you, but hers is nowhere near as long as yours. He wants me because of my hair. I was so confused. Kane nodded. Then N kneeled in front of me and placed a hand on the wood beside me. I wished he'd touch me instead. There was a story told. Back when there still were mothers, our mother told it to us. It was of a woman to come to save the world. They called her the Woman of Thunder, or Ozefazane Wakiduma. Wakiduma. You called me that sometimes. I looked deep into his dark browns trying to understand yes. I realized that you were the same Woman of Thunder once I saw your hair. He pulled my locks over my shoulder. In the story, it speaks of a most beautiful woman with golden sunshine flowing down her back and following everywhere she goes. Our people always have dark hair, so sunshine makes sense. I started picking at a tangle to give my fingers something to focus on. I should have realized it earlier, but it had been so long since I'd heard the story that it didn't connect until I actually got to see your hair. I shrugged nonchalant, still threading out the tangle. So it could be anyone with long blonde hair. Maybe it really was Molly. What King could care about me? I'm nothing. Then N pushed the lock of hair away from me and pressed down my chin to get me to look at him now. It's you. The story talks of a woman coming to our world from the stars. She'd be riding a metal wolf and could control the thunder. Marek Spidey, my fated mate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I chuckled nervously. A metal wolf. And controlling thunder. Don't be crazy. I can't do that. He nodded yes. Yes, you can. Your car. We have no word for it. Of course, the only thing we could liken it to was fast and big like our wolf forms. And metal. And the thunder. Your metal stick. Your gun. It causes invisible lightning to attack whatever you want and the thunder cracks your wish. A sliver of a smile pulled at one side of my lips. My gun shoots bullets. My gun contains rocks. Sharp rocks that get pushed out with an explosive fire to point at a target. The sound just comes from the blast. I can't control thunder. The two men stilled in their own thoughts. Kane lifted his head to me. Okay? And you had a contraption to start fire with your fingertips. The story foretold of that too. A story predicted my lighter. I glanced between them. I don't know, guys. This is weird. Why would I be a story? Kane came and sat down on one side of the log, next to me. Because you are supposed to change our world. I coughed. Excuse me. Then sat on the other side. Yes, the woman of thunder comes and brings peace to our land. You are to marry the Alpha King. You will become his Alpha Queen, and you will make him the richest and most powerful Alpha our world has ever seen. Queen. I drew back. Kane continued on. You will unite all the packs. There's fighting and turf wars like crazy right now. People are going hungry. Women are gone. You will change all of that. I'm going to change a werewolf planet. Guys. Maybe you haven't noticed, but I'm a stupid human. A werewolf could break me like a twig. Then unflinched. Kane shrugged. I don't know how you do it, but it's you. And now you need to get to Wolf City and take your place. Alpha King Muzza took Molly. He kidnapped her when me, Teo, and her were out gathering. He ordered us to hand her over, so we had to. When Maeve found out, he obviously went to rescue her, but got captured instead. King Muzza is going to kill me to become Molly's mate instead. He plans to kill him on the full moons, so you need to get there before that. Then N stood off the log, turning to his brother and squared his shoulders. The full moons. That's tomorrow. There's no way she can make it by then. Not even if I carry her shifted. Kane submitted, head low and voice heavy. I assumed he was remembering how his girlfriend died. I know, but we have to try. Try how? Then N yelled. He pointed to my leg. She has skunk poisoning tearing her leg open. And you know as well as I do that skunk poisoning is fatal to us and is fatal to us, and these girls can't heal 1/10 of what we can. It's getting worse. She can't be carried like that. Wait. I cut in, looking horrified at my leg. Fatal. I'm going to die from this. I mean, I already figured I was doomed, but to hear it black and white was something different. Then N softened and crouched in front of me, a tender hand placed on my thigh above the paste. No, of course not. You can't die if you are here to save our world. We'll figure something out. I was quiet a full minute and then exhaled. There was only one way I could think of. If werewolves and their freaky healing die, maybe there was only one solution for me. Do your stories say I have both legs? But Spidey, my fated mate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the honey techno music the DJ was playing. Then N sat back. I traced a line across the bottom of my knee. We amputate right here. He stood tall in outrage, voice bellowing around the campsite. Absolutely not. If it's the only way to survive, I let the thought hang. Mouths Brady, my fated mate. White scratched around me and my wounds spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. We'll figure something out. Kane looked over my coated leg. She might be onto something. Then N whipped out of nowhere and smashed a fist into Kane's face. Kane recoiled, falling clear off the log, hand holding his nose, and blood spewing from underneath it. Then N, what did you do that for? Then N's voice was intense and dark. We will not be cutting her leg off. Kane pulled a strip of febrifuge and pressed it at his nose, climbing back beside me. Then N, it's as good of an option as... Then N howled over Kane's words. We are not. Then N's heavy breathing slowed over the next few minutes of silence. I finally broke the quiet. How far is Molly and Maeve?
Kane sighed and looked out over the trees.
I have a full run from here. And when is the full moon? King Mauza plans to kill me that moonrise. Then snarled. Dusk. We'll never make it now. We're not going. I turned to the Nen. Concern etched over my face. I thought Mate was your friend. You don't want to even try. Kane's voice was soft to me. He wants to protect you. We can't carry you on a journey like that without getting hurt. And he paused. I don't think he wants to give you up. I turned to Kane. What? Kane's eyes dipped to my belly. He's grown an attraction to you. But you are not his. Your mate is Alpha King Mauza. My eyes focused up at the end and he turned from me, speaking dully to the trees. I know she's not my mate. What do you mean? I argued sarcastically. There's a baby in me. We plenty mated. Kane touched my arm. Not like that. On Earth, men and women get to choose who they are paired with. Here, our destinies are predetermined. We call them mates. We get no say. You see your perfect person and they are your mate. You just know from the moment you set eyes on them. So soulmates. Kane gave a simple nod. Oh yes, that's your word for it. Our soulmates are not something we can choose. You just are. Then N has been kidding himself. You are not his. But I started glancing to that N's back. No, then N spoke to the trees. No buts. You are Alpha King Mauza's mate. Maybe I don't want. I tried again. No, Kane shook his head. Eldon, be scared. This is a good thing. It's prophesized you'll be together. When we go, you'll meet your soulmate. You two will both just know the moment you look upon the other. It'll be the most wonderful day of your life. He sat back on the log and grinned in memory. When I first saw Mata Oka, I fell to my knees with emotion. My heart pushed clear out of my chest. The whole world bloomed with color around her. I knew she was mine. So beautiful. And even though I only had her for a few weeks, I would never choose not to know her. My life was made right by knowing her. I smiled and rubbed over Kane's bare back. She sounds amazing. He gave a half smile. You'll know what it feels like too. We just need to get you there. And hopefully before moonrise tomorrow. I twisted to the N. My voice quiet and tense. You don't feel like that about me. He spoke flat, not turning around. No, I couldn't help but feel hurt. But I gathered myself and looked back to Kane. Mauza will feel that. The moment he sees you. Did I believe in love at first sight? Maybe. That was a lot of pressure. Kane patted my leg and I stiffened, feeling the spike shoot into my shin. Seeing my reaction, he pulled his hand back fast. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Then N turned around and growled. See, we can't get her there. She is in pain. We must wait this out. That N, I started. We can't let your friend die if there's a chance we could help. I want to help. I turned to Kane. I'm sorry to bring this up, but how did Mata Oka die? I understand she died of blood loss from a wolf bite. Kane stiffened, but squared his shoulders in his own inner strength. Yes, he swallowed. She died because she just kept bleeding. Some wolf rogues. He inhaled the air and snarled. The ones who lived here stole her from me. Me and then N fought to get her back and suffered serious wounds. Then N nearly got his stomach torn out. He sighed and looked to the ground. They bit her and ran. They didn't know that you humans are very delicate. We have to watch our strength around you at every moment. They didn't know to and cut deep into her, nearly all the way through her. I guess the chase and the blood was too much for the rogues and they dropped her to the ground and ran away. We made it to her not long after that and tried to wrap bandages around, but she just kept bleeding. She was too far gone, but I at least got to say goodbye. I nodded and rubbed over his arm. I'm so sorry for your loss, Kane, but what if we tried it again? Maybe not as deepened away from the arteries I know of. Absolutely not. and an ang boomed. Stepping close, I twisted to face him. Absolutely yes. I'm going to help your friend. He has made his choice when he went after Molly. I made my choice to go after them. I stood, balancing on one leg. The effect was not intimidating with a tower of hulking muscles hovering over me. You will not. I poked him in the chest. I will. And you can't stop me. Did I just poke him in the chest? I thought they only did that in movies. Never mind. I am going. Whether you take me or Kane takes me, doesn't matter. Neither of us will. He leaned forward, aiming deadly over me. Good grief, he was acting really tough and sexy. Was it bad that I really wanted to kiss him right now? The thought made me smirk. What? He questioned angrily. I couldn't hold my anger. A full grin slid across my face. Nothing. His brows came down in frustration and he huffed. We are not going. I pointed to his brother, then folded my arms. Bet I'll get Kane to take me. I'll tie him up. My grin lost and I threw my arms down. Why are you so adamant that we don't save your friend? He softened and looked away from me. We'd only make it if we full out ran at top wolf speed. You'll get sick. Even if we could hold you gentle enough, you wouldn't survive the speed. One accidental hit with a branch could take your arm off. I gestured to my gross leg. And maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. He turned back fiercely and grabbed my face in his hands. I wobbled on my good foot and grabbed his wrist to steady myself. His eyes were fire. We can't carry you that fast. We can't even tie you to us and run that fast. You'd have to be a wolf to survive those speeds. A human can't handle it. You can't handle it. My eyes widened at his words and my glance darted around in deep thought. I spoke under my breath with a gasp. Have to be a wolf. I looked back at him, my heart picking up its tempo. Then that's it. I have to be a wolf. You turned me into a werewolf. He released my face, effectively dropping me back to the log. When my leg hit ground, I cried out in pain and my hand automatically dug in the mud to comfort the hurt. I'm sorry. Ben N was instantly before me, hands massaging my thighs. Are you all right? I cringed out through gnashed teeth. I tried to breathe heavy, pushing the pains away. I opened my watering eyes and wiped the excess mud onto the log. I think that's it. Kane scooted close, interested. What is? I have to be a wolf. Then N scoffed. You're a human. Hear me out. I proposition regaining control of my pain. On your planet, I'm a story. Correct. And it came true. Supposedly. Because I'm here. Kane nodded. On my planet, werewolves are only things of stories. They don't exist. But here you are. Sure, they're super scary monsters that eat people and change on the full moon. But maybe that's like me coming on a metal wolf. The first person to tell the story just didn't let they understand what they were seeing. What are you getting at? The nun demanded. In my fairy tales, werewolves can change humans into werewolves by biting them. I brightened. If you guys can't carry me there in time, I need to run on my own. If you bite me, then I can turn into a werewolf. Not hand-cursed. Yes, I cried back. He sighed and rubbed at his face. Stop it. It won't work. If that were true for our planet, you would already be a wolf. What? Why? I asked, perplexed. He pointed to the area the dead werewolves were when I had shot them. Because of the rogues. They did bite you. Remember? Oh, I deflated. They had. They had bitten me. And I was surely no wolf. Then what? How could I become a wolf? Kane piped up in soft question. In your stories, how did the wolf have to bite the person? I looked over and then shrugged. I don't know. I wasn't much into werewolf lore. What do you mean? He gave his own shrug. I don't know. Just maybe it has to be under the full moons. Or with a prayer to moon goddess. Or a specific place or something to do it. I tilted my head trying to remember anything I'd read or watched. The only thing I could remember was a teenager's show about wolves. He got bit on his side and it dug really deep, but the teeth marks were more humanistic. But the teenage wolf kind of werewolf were half wolf, half human. And N's kind of wolves were straight up wolf. Maybe if we try it when you're human, instead of wolf, I wondered. Okay, Cain was thinking to himself. Not him bellowed. This is not an option. Let's try it, I announced Cain, ignoring the N. But N's head darted to me. Don't you start. I cautioned. I motioned over my leg and back. I'm already covered in pain. Him biting me won't add to much. If I'm already dying, I'm going out in style. You are not dying. And N's teeth bared. And we are not biting you. I rolled my eyes. Well, it won't make me a werewolf if I bite myself. So what have you better? I will, Cade offered. Then N reared back to punch Cain again. But Cain was expecting and dodged. Cain caught then N's follow-through at a chokehold. Then N struggled in Cain's grip. You will not hurt her. And she's pregnant. You'll hurt the baby. I'm not going to hurt our baby. And we'll keep her close to the white powder if she starts to bleed out. Then N growled a roar and pulled out of Cain's grasp. Wolf eyes flashing in Cain's face. You touch her and I'll kill you. I stood on a wobbly leg and started hobbling with the balance of my off-foot toe. You two figure out who's going to bite me. I'll go pack. Suddenly, I was thrust into the N's arms and he was carrying me to the cave bed, leaving Cain outside. We aren't doing this. You are staying here. Cain can go try to help Maeve if he must, but you are not going anywhere until that leg heals. I softened and looked over sad eyelashes when he sat me down. Then you go with him. Save your friend. Get Molly back to her kids. His muscles tightened and he kneeled before me. They will just have to make do on their own. I can't leave you. You can't leave those kids without a father. Mouths Brady, my fated mate. White scratched around me and my wounds spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I was sure it was a low blow. And I won't leave my child without a father. I can be okay for a few days. I pointed to the wooden branches beside the bed. Those are crutches. I can use them to steady myself and walk around on my own. He sat beside me, fingers threading through his hair, and sighed a miserable sound. Eleanor, look. I can't leave. I need to figure out what to do for your leg before the poison reaches your heart. I don't know how long it will take, but your fever gets worse every day. I keep thinking you won't wake up. I can't lose you. And I can't lose that baby. Our planet can't lose that baby. I sighed and nodded quietly to the cave wall. So it really is that bad. He nodded. Well, maybe we should try a werewolf bite then. My stories tell about how much better of healers werewolves are. Maybe when I'm a werewolf, it would heal. He shook his head no. Skunk poison even kills us most times. It's worth a try if I'm already dying. No, it's not. He stood as if the conversation was over. They will get you to King Maza when you are better. Molly will be fine until then. Maith will just be on his own to escape. I couldn't believe he was so heartless towards his friends that I grabbed the nearest weapon, which happened to be a crutch, and hit him with it. It didn't even make him flinch, but he turned back to me. What was that for? I used the other crutch and stood, balancing with it. You that s what? What kind of a friend are you? Letting your friend be murdered. Go help him. You're going to let his kids grow up without a father. Leave me. There's no help for me. I'm already dead. He growled and came into my face. You are not dying. Yes, I am. You said it yourself. Now bite me. He bared his teeth. No, then move aside and I'll get Cain too. He swept me up tight against his chest, feet dangling. You are not getting bitten, and that is final. Maith will have to deal on his own. He just needed to shut up, so I did the movie thing and leaned up in his arms and kissed him. He startled for a moment, but soon enough was kissing me back with as strong of passion as I was stirring over him. I couldn't even remember that my leg hurt. And then he crumbled to the ground and Kane caught me out of the air. Maddox Spidey, my fated mate. Whites flashed around me and my wheels spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I cried in surprise and gripped Kane's shoulders. Kane gave an embarrassed grin and then gently placed me back sitting to the bed. Sorry about that, but that end's already going to beat my ass. If you got dropped too, I'd be dead. I looked at the ends unmoving form and freaked. What did you do? He stroked down my arm. It's okay. I just knocked him out. He'll wake up in no time. Is he okay? Kane chuckled. That big head of his. Of course. We just had to get him off of you long enough to fulfill your plan. Good thinking with that kiss. He didn't notice me sneaking up one bit. Oh, yeah, sure. I agreed. Right. That was my plan all along. Distract then end so Kane could knock him out. Yeah. So I looked at Kane. You believe me? You want to try biting me? He shrugged. If there's stories about you, makes sense there's stories about us. Somehow our worlds are connected. Couldn't hurt to try. He tilted his head. Well, I think it could actually. Oh, right. Yeah, you'll need to do it pretty deep. I swept over my leg. But what the hey? I'm already covered in scars. If it doesn't work, one more battle wound won't kill me any faster. He nodded. I guess that's true. You sure you want to try? I could bite too deep and hurt you worse. I sighed. I think I'm dying already. Right. He nodded sadly and looked my body over. What do I do? We argued for too long on where he would bite me. Kane kept looking at the N, expecting him to wake up at any moment. So we needed to get moving. That teenage werewolf show, I remembered him getting bit on his side. But Kane flat out refused that placing because it was too close to the baby. What did it even matter if the skunk venom was going to kill me anyway? Maybe only being pregnant for 2 weeks hadn't let it set him that I should be worried about someone growing inside me yet. We finally decided on the shoulder. Because the neck was where lovers bit and he was fearful of King Maz's wrath if he thought I was marked already. I voiced my concern. Won't King Maza be pretty ticked that I'm pregnant then? Kane looked over my belly in worry, but then grinned tight. It didn't reach his eyes, no. Course not. He's a good guy. Just a little stubborn. I wasn't convinced a little stubborn was a total truth. You said he kidnapped Molly. Kane's hand gripped my good shoulder. Friendly. You're a pretty girl. Okay. I can see why then N got caught up. But King Maza is your mate. It's been foretold. Once he sets his sight on you, you'll be his light. And if you say you want to keep the baby, he'll agree in a heartbeat. He'll do anything to keep you happy. He will. Kane smiled. Sure. I fought a soul-sucker flower head to get my mate the greatest tasting pudding our land has to offer. I wanted to show her everything just to see her pleased. It'll really be like that. He nodded. So don't you worry about this little one. King Maz'll love you, so he'll love it. Just, maybe don't tell him who the father is. I breathed out and moistened my lips in preparation. I still wasn't going to meet the dude. I was going to save the Nen's friend. Okay, I'm ready. I unbuttoned my farm shirt and revealed my shoulder. Let's do this. He looked at me, golden flecks glittering into his irises like diamonds surging into his brown color. My glance dipped to his mouth where wolf fangs started just peeking out from the edge of his lips. I closed my eyes tight and grabbed onto his shoulders to hold myself upright. Do it. Get ready. His voice was gravely and rough like he was using vocal cords that were somewhere between wolf and man. I nodded, and then teeth were sunk into me. A scream rattled around the cave so severely, I felt the vibrations down to my bones. Chapter 35, She-Wolf 33 Bullet Cell. Eleanor, you need to wake up. We have to go soon if we're going to make it. I moaned. Every part of me was sore like I'd ran 8 marathons. Then N was there and lifted me into his arms. Relief flew in around him. Oh, you're all right. Thank the stars. You're all right. I sunk into his embrace for only a minute before I remembered what happened. I flew to a sitting position and checked over my shoulder. Only a faint double crescent scar was there. We were back in the cave, on my bed, and Kane was squatting beside us. He grinned. You did it. Did what? It worked, hell. Then N spoke. He was softly smiling to where I wasn't sure if he was mad or happy. You shifted. I'm a werewolf. I asked in astonishment. It couldn't have been real. I didn't feel any different. I looked down to my body and it was just human. I was covered in a thin blanket. But that was it. I still felt human. But under the blanket, I was naked. I was but freaking naked. What the FFUU? I yelled and wrapped my arms around myself, tugging the thin sheet up. Who undressed me? I mean, sure, that N's seen me in my birthday suit plenty, but I shouldn't be naked in front of his brother. At least my skunk pouch was still on. I twisted it over my hips like it would cover me better under the blanket. Then N chuckled. Chuckled. He had the audacity to chuckle. When I was there naked. Rude. Get me clothes. I'm going to smack you. He grinned and pulled me into a hug like he was happy I was annoyed with him. His large exhale blew through my hair. I'm so glad you're okay. Kane's hand was then in my peripheral holding a handful of golden leather. Here. Thanks. I took the articles tentatively and started pulling them on when he moved to the front of the cave and turned away. Luckily, with the wide clothes, it made it so I didn't look that pregnant. It was another pair of stretchy shorts and the tank top that N had made me. At least I think he made me. I'd have to ask now that we could communicate, but there were better questions for the moment. Why'd you take off my clothes? Creep. But N smiled and adjusted the skunk pouch for me to one hip. When you shifted, you tore through them. Oh, that makes sense. I seemed to remember a werewolf breaking through his clothes from some show I watched. I leaned in and whispered, Did your brother see me naked? He smirked and rubbed a finger down my cheek. It was unavoidable, but I took care of it. Kane spoke from his spot staring outside. I looked away when I could. Then N chuckled. He means he got his lights punched out, and werewolves have very good hearing. My face brightened a shade. Then N watched over the color change and smirked. I'm glad that hasn't gone away since you turned. What hasn't? I giggled embarrassed and twisted away, holding my cheeks. Then N. Stop. I can't help it. He held on my arms and tugged to turn me back to him. No, I snickered pathetically and held my ground, tearing my arm from his grip. He dropped his hands. That's going to take some getting used to, though. I did turn to him in question. You're stronger now. I am. I looked down over my body like I'd see "you're stronger" tatted across my chest. But instead my hands quickly went to my belly. The baby. Baby's fine. He smiled and placed a hand there. But it's not warm anymore. I fretted, my hands dashing around all sides. Stop. Stop. He soothed. You're our temperature now. I am. I moved my hands to my face. I didn't feel any warmer. He nodded. So she's okay then. I moved back to my belly. I probably went red again. Oh, I just made up a gender so I didn't have to call it. He stepped forward and roamed a hand over my belly too, a giant grin snaking his face. Well then, she is fine. Okay. I nodded. Kane inched over. Can I come back yet? Then Anne nodded. Sure. That's when I noticed Kane had quite the black eye and limp. I gasped. What happened? He shrugged. Then Anne beat my ass. Then Anne punched him in the arm, voice low and threatening. You better be glad she survived. Hey, WW, come on, he complained, rubbing over the spot. She did better than survive. Look at her. She's perfect. I tried not to go red again and N. No, I'm not. He chuckled. Yeah. You are. No wonder you're the Alpha King's mate. Kane pointed to my leg. Your shift even completely healed the skunk poisoning. We've never seen that before. Max Spidey, my fated mate. White splashed around me and my wings spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I bent down and rolled a hand over my shin. It was true. All the muscles had regrown. There wasn't even a hint of a scar. And over my arm where the berries burned me. Nothing. No rippled skin. No red bubbled flesh. My skin seemed perfect. Almost brand spanking new and flawless. Even the old scar on my knee from a barbed wire fence was cleared. I checked out over my arms, then touched at my face. I twisted to see over my shoulder, and even that looked good as new. Moving the shoulder around a bunch, it felt better than new, strong and powerful, ready to shoot. Max Spidey, my fated mate. Lights flashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I exclaimed, "Where is it? I need to see if I can shoot again. Your thunderstick." Then an asked, but pointed to it near the head of the bed. On the ground, yes. I burst and grabbed it, holding it like it was the key at the end of some Super Mario level. I was out the cave and across the campsite before I knew it and searching the scope for something to aim at. Checking over the bullets. I loaded a full round, then set the gun to my shoulder. It was like a sigh of relief poured over my body with it back fitting in its spot. Giving a bit of a stretch out through my shoulders and neck, I turned around the area to find something to target. A couple 100 yards off was one of those arched green pepper plants. He seemed like a safe spot. Greenery and fresh dirt all around him. No loose rocks to have the bullet ricochet off. My gun was placed, senses stilled, and I zoned into overdrive. I could see the plant better without the scope even, my glance moving over it. The sounds of the forest met in my ear, wakening the hunter's side of my soul. The scent of gunpowder right in my face burned my nose. Every sense came alive like the power dials on a soundboard raising. It was becoming overwhelming. Sound, sight, scent, everything came at once overloading me. I could see individual veins and leaves that I shouldn't be able to see even standing in front of it. Tiny pink bugs with black spots I hadn't seen before shuttled up a tree 10 yards away. A hummingbird sped by and I could make out each individual movement of his wing, like he was a butterfly instead. Everything like I could see details that were under a microscope. Colors I didn't have words for from the edge of the rainbow filled in the beauty of the land. Sounds rushed at me from miles away, each trying to fight their way into my ears. A river. Some animal grazing on grasses. The wind whistling through the treetops raising the unseen hairs of my arms. Birds chirping. Bugs clicking. Heartbeats, breathing, and even blood pumping through the three of our bodies in the small clearing. Noises surrounded me like a cacophony of cicadas screeching their voices to the sky. Scents that I couldn't identify took over my nose. 1,000 all at once. Plants, flowers, animals, soil, everything. Some good, some revolting. But all too much to pick anything out. Everything was too much. My heartbeat sped and adrenaline released into my bloodstream, making my movements dart around in fear. It was too much. Too much. The beginning of a panic attack to rival all panic attacks flashed through me and I dropped my gun, lowering myself to the ground in a fetal crouch. My eyes shut tight and my hands wrapped my ears. My voice shrieked in pain, trying to drown out any sound. Then N fell down in front of me and grabbed my shoulders in his own worry. His voice came through my muffled ears. Eleanor, what's wrong?" I still held on my eyes shut tight. My head tossed back and forth. I can't. He reached between my arms and caressed my face. "You can't what?" Let me help. The sound. There's too much. I can't do it. The sound. Kane's reply was like through a bullhorn. No matter how much I tried to shut everything out. She must be hearing everything. Remember, their senses were terrible. She's not used to it. The N was now strong. No scent of anxiety. I knew anxiety's scent. WTF Eleanor. Focus. Focus down on one thing. Focus on me. Listen just to me. My shaky breath slowed as my ears perked on him and him alone. That's right. He approved. Just my voice. Nothing else. Focus on me and breathe. In and out. Deep focus breath. In out. I started following his command. Now look at me. Just me. He lifted my chin and scooted close so we were eye to eye. I opened my eyes and looked pitifully at him. There you go. Just me. Just right here in my eyes. It's just you and me. Okay. Okay. I choked out weakly. He grinned and caught my cheeks in his rough hands. Good. Now smell. Just me. Just one thing at a time. Okay? I nodded and brought a tentative breath in. It was him. And he was freaking-tastic. Whoa. I spoke before I could stop myself. Focus, he commanded, thinking I was overdoing myself. You smell good, I mentioned before I could filter. The panic attack just starting to fade away. He chuckled and lifted us to a stand, still gripping me so I wouldn't fall. I think you smell good too. A small smile lifted the side of my cheek, and I took a deep breath. He was intoxicating and manly. Her by-in forest. My usual favorite, fresh lilacs, was tossed to the side like rubbish. I wanted to live in his fragrance. I looked to his chest and roamed my fingertips over him, tracing along the muscles. Each movement divine as even my sense of touch had heightened. His scent cascaded into me and brought me standing closer as I reveled in it. I really wanted to feel the height and touch at my lips and lifted to tiptoe to reach his face. But at the last second, he stepped back, rejected. I sat back on my heels and must have shown the betrayal I felt, because he announced to the area, not looking at me. You are not my mate. Ouch. I stepped back too. I pointed to my expanding belly. Why not? I mean, this is going to be really tough to explain to a future husband. He squared his shoulders, face becoming a mask of indifference. What will be? Will be. Got it? I grumbled, and my senses started to enlarge again, when my focus was on my inner hurt instead. Oh no. I placed my hands over my head, then took one hand, but held it platonic ally. Focus. Focus on just one thing. I nodded and tried to focus on his hand. It was rough. It was large and strong. It was my same temperature. Darn that. I really liked his heat. I opened my eyes and took my hand back. My voice was frosty. I'm okay. I think I can do it. He nodded and dropped away from me. Kane inched beside me. You can do it. Just open a little bigger and bigger as you can handle it. You'll learn to focus soon enough. I nodded, but not enthusiastically. Kane handed me my gun. Here. I want to see how this thing works and then we need to run. Start preparing to run now. Okay. I bit my lip and set the rifle back to my eye. I just needed to focus on one thing. Like being at a crowded party, but still being able to talk to the person next to you. Drain the other noises out. Drain the other sights out. Looking through the scope, I found the arched hot pepper plant, each point showing off in another direction. My hunter senses zoomed in on it, and while I was going to aim on the meaty middle, the scope perfectly sat in the spot I positioned. I was now like a statue. I didn't have to widen my stance an inch to be able to steady myself, and even my breathing seemed to know that my chest shouldn't move. It was effortless to target. The pepper could have been 2 yards away, not 200. So instead of the meaty arch, I aimed at one of the individual peppers. Fire. The next pepper in the arc. Fire. The next pepper. Fire. 30 bullets, all perfect hits. Whoa, Kane exclaimed me as my senses broadened. That is like thunder. With how well I could see, I adjusted the scope to further than I'd ever tried before. 1 mile away. Fire. It was a hit. Adjust again. 2 miles away. 28 bullets. The shot was low, so I did the quick calibration and familiarized with the settings while I reloaded. Again wobbly. 27 bullets. It didn't seem a gun like that distance, but my mind was purring. My shooting skills had jumped through the roof by just being able to still myself well enough and set my own sight better. A whole new world of game had opened up, at least if I ever got home. That's amazing, Kane said in awe. That contraption really can hit things far away. I nodded and set my gun to search something else out to hit. Then realized I just burned away a whole load while playing. What if I needed to keep those bullets for later? Shoot. Literally. Shoot. I did a quick calculation. 27. I had 27 left. I swore and threaded the rifle over my shoulder. I was done. Ready to go meet your mate. Kane asked, a new enthusiasm trickling through him. Mate, schmate, I muttered. You are meant for great things. You can't choose your destiny, Kane offered. My destiny was to get nearly poisoned, turned into a werewolf, and knocked up by a different man than my supposed soulmate. I asked incredulously. Kane chuckled. Well, those specific points weren't in the story. So maybe I can still choose my own adventure. The man spoke with his indifferent grouch. Do not fight your fate. You will be better off with Alpha King Muzza. Okay, fine, I grumbled. Maybe this king knows how to get me back to Earth. Suck it up, Buttercup. You're a powerful werewolf now. Oh my gosh. I'm a werewolf. I am. Right. Blast. That didn't really fit into my plans of getting back to Earth. Was I supposed to be a fairy tale creature on Earth? Could I be a fairy tale creature on Earth? Sure. One that could win every Olympic shooting event, even over the men. Take that, boys. I chuckled to myself. Was I really supposed to be their werewolf queen? Seems like the magic 8-ball of my life was saying all signs point to yes, so I guess we'll see. With a large exhale, I accepted my future. Well, guess this chosen one better go defeat Voldemort then. Voldemort. The Nen finally smiled. Harry Potter. Oh yeah. I grinned at him. I should tell you that story now that you can understand. It's a good one. Kane cut in, breaking us up. Maybe story time after rescuing me. We should get going. Right, I agreed. So werewolf time. They both immediately dropped their pants and I spun around. Boys. The Nen chuckled. We already said we can't shift in clothes. That's why the pouch and inner clothes are on elastic. Inner clothes? I huffed. I don't have any inner clothes. We'll make you some. Sometime. Thanks. I grumbled. The movement behind me had stopped, and after a silent moment, Kane added, I'll go wait at the river. Small creaks and snaps sounded, and then pads of feet ran off to the northwest. I listened to his quiet trace over the mountain. It was fascinating that my ears could follow his footfall. The Nen touched at my shoulder, and I jumped. Dude. I spun around to face him. Don't do that. He smirked and dropped his hand. It's your turn. You need to rest a shift. I scowled for a moment, but then just ripped the top over my head and dropped the shorts to the ground, staring him straight in the face, daring him to say something. Then I smirked my own sexy tease as his eyes quickly dipped. He didn't blush, but his feet started shuffling and his eyes trained anywhere but me. He cleared his throat. Okay, now shift. Now shift, he says. I snorted. As if shifting was like taking a step forward and not getting your left ear to grow bigger than your right. I folded my clothes tight and stuffed them down into the pouch. "You'll need to leave your gun here," he cautioned as I moved it back to my shoulder. I snorted again, not giving him any comeback. It was not moving. Plus, it was already on a strap. It could go over my wolfy shoulders, but I did decide to unload it. A rough bounce just might shoot off a wolfy tail, and I really liked my hair. Shift. Yeah. I griped and put my chin to my chest like I'd seen the guys do a few times. A few throaty breaths as I concentrated. Come on. Be a wolf. Come on. Door. Another minute faded before I relented. Okay, so how do you shift? Then N turned and eyes roved over my body again. Focus. I complained at him and brought my arms over myself. His glance went back to just my face. Mine tried to do the same. "You can't shift," he asked, perplexed. "Obviously no," if I asked. He grinned as if I were a little child asking for help to sit on the couch. "Just imagine yourself as a wolf." "Fine." I put my chin down to my chest and imagined my nose growing and arms turning. Bakhutchnade. Me growing wolf hair and howling. Then I pictured one of the images from a 90s teen book my mother had in the front room growing up. It was called Animorphs and had a picture of a girl turning into a cat. All the images between her and the cat morphing into another. Animorph wolfy power. I yelled in my head and then giggled. "You're not trying." Then N complained. "I am." My glare went to him. "You turn into a human." He grinned at my outburst. "Jerk." "Look at your hand," he commanded. I opened the palm and stared at it. "Wow, look at that." A hand. Close to a fist. "Done. Now open it really fast." I didn't startle myself. "Wow, Spidey. My hated mate." White splashed around me and my wounds spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. What was? Wait, no. Did you see it? I opened and closed a few more times. I thought I saw claws. Right. Keep going. Imagine those claws again. My movements flicked harder and harder until my fingers were meaty and muscular, hair tips starting to show. IWW. I screamed and the hand went back human. Then an N grabbed my hand. "You did it." Just let that feeling keep growing. I took my hand back from him and stared at it. I didn't throw it open again. I just stared intently like I could make it change with my glance instead, and the tips bent and changed. The muscles moved down my fingers, growing and shortening in my palm. Hair starting to sprout. Then N's voice was quiet and loving. "That's it. Keep going." I closed my eyes and let the heat rush over me like I was walking out into a 100-degree day after being in the freezing air conditioner. Inch by inch the fire took me over, burning up my arm, over my shoulder and chest, consuming my head and body, rolling down over my feet and suddenly done. I opened my eyes and felt strong, powerful, proud, invincible. That unbeamed voice of awe. "You are so beautiful." Instead of being ashamed, my chin rose, my glance going long over a wide furry nose, and I went cross-eyed to see it. I did it. I gazed down my body and saw every shade of gray hidden in massive fur. Paws like dinner plates, pressed into the ground, making me feel at ease with the land. My wolf toes pressed into the dirt, releasing the earthy scent. I felt secure. I was comfortable. I was me. Then N stepped close and stroked over my ears and down my neck, and I wanted to purr like my house cat in a ray of sunshine. It was so comforting, like one of his massages after applying my medicine. It felt like he was writing words of compassion through my hair, and each letter sent my heart soaring. When my eyes moved to his, he stared at me, hands now smoothing into the fur at my cheeks. He was trying to see inside me, and I began to knock down some barriers and let myself open when Kane's clear voice surrounded me, jumping me back a few steps. "Good job." Kane was close. I could hear him perfectly. but I couldn't put a track on where he had spoken from. I hopped around on agile legs, looking for him. I yipped a question of where he was. Kane's laughter came all around as before, an echo in my head. I'm by the river. I told you guys that's where I was going. Barking another question, I wondered how I could hear him then. The river was quite a ways away. Oh, I get it. Now we can communicate with our minds while in this form. Helps the hunt. Humans don't link. I tested speaking in my mind. No, mind reading is not one of our talents. Well, welcome to the club then. The Nen then transformed and stood in front of me, still muscular and tall even in this form. He was majestic. A heat flashed through my body. If he was that big, how big was the king? One of those macho bodybuilders with steroid muscles and fake tans. Hopefully real at least. Kane smiled through his thoughts. You two ready to run? Then N's heavy brown eyes met mine. Are you ready? My wolf gave a single nod. Let's go. Thanks a bunch for joining me on this tryst with a werewolf. I hope you had an amazing time exploring this mysterious world with me. Make sure to subscribe, leave your comments and likes, and I'll see you in the next tryst. Bye for now.